Welcome and happy Midsummer. Skål!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Film Seizure at the Movies. I am Geoff Arbuckle, and this time it's a little bit different. We've done a movie before. We've talked about Pet Sematary.
Oh, yes.
But
Hi, guys.
Hi, hey. Who are you?
I'm Jason. Oliver.
You are a co-host.
You've heard me before.
Yeah,
Maybe.
This is all a figment of my complex imagination. Of course, Jason's here. I'm going to be talking to him about a movie that only he has seen.
Yeah.
Only he has seen ever. Anywhere.
In the whole universe.
Right. Before we get to that, I am going to do some housekeeping. Of course, new episodes of Film Seizure every Wednesday with me and this other guy over here.
Yep, hi.
Us. That's on Wednesdays. You got Monster Mondays on Monday. That's, whatever. But you can catch those episodes of both of those shows and any installments of this Film Seizure at the Movies on iTunes or whatever it's called or going to be called in the future. Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify. We upload that stuff to YouTube as well. So, Jason, you saw a movie that is called Midsommar.
I did.
And so give the listeners a little bit of background on Midsommar.
Yes. Okay. So Midsommar. It is the directorial follow-up for Ari Aster, who made Hereditary last year. I think it was last year.
Hereditary was last year. Did that make your top 5?
It did not make my top 5. It would have definitely cracked a top 10.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. It was close to my top 5.
I know for a good chunk of the year you were raving.
I was really big on that movie. Yeah. And I still am. I think it's really, really effective horror. And but I wasn't quite sure how much that actually did affect me. And it affected me to the point where I really have difficulty watching it again. It's kind of one of those movies.
Sure.
Like there's a transgression to it that really unsettles me.
Explain that a little bit, because you've talked about that with other movies too.
It's this sort of altering of normalcy.
Okay.
Right. And like not everything is as it seems, and when there's a darker side to this that it's the opposite of what you would expect.
Sure.
Right. So, but what really, really, really bothers me about Hereditary is just how effective it is with its portrayal of grief.
Okay.
And just there's this despair throughout that movie that really bothers me, and I just it's hard. It's a hard movie to watch.
Sure,
it's a very good movie. And it does exactly what it sets out to do, and that's why I feel like it's an amazing movie, but it's not one I can just pick up and watch.
Sure, fair enough.
Did
you actually buy that movie?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. No.
I saw it in the theater, and I loved it. I do agree with the critics or those who say that it kind of falls apart at the end. I think that there's something to be said for, it doesn't quite work as an ending.
I think that ending splits a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it's so jarring, and so it's such a change in gears and change in direction it didn't really bother me, because I've seen some pretty weirdo movies. But
I mean, I kind of saw it coming anyway, and I was like, well, where else are they going to go? Right?
Yeah. How's this movie going to land?
but to me, the movie that Hereditary isn't about that necessarily. It's about the insidiousness of mental illness.
Yes.
And how that the damage that can do to the family dynamic.
Right.
And that it was so incredibly effective, and that shit hits so close to home for me that it's just hard to watch.
Sure. You said something I want to put an asterisk on, and that is the mental illness part, because I think that plays a part in Midsommar, from what I understand.
Big time.
I have not seen this movie, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm basically interviewing Jason about something I don't know anything about. But anyway, so you were saying about Hereditary and Ari Aster. What else had Ari Aster done?
I have no clue.
Like, just kind of came out of nowhere with Hereditary?
I couldn't tell you, honestly.
Okay.
I'm like pulling it up on my phone right now because my introduction to him was Hereditary. I don't know anything else about this guy.
For all we know, he is just some sort of conjuring of grief and mental illness
maybe.
that is now visited upon us.
Yeah, I mean this guy is definitely, he has this I don't know what it is. I don't know if anyone has talked to him about this. He did a bunch of shorts.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's talked to him about this or where he kind of channels this, but there's clearly something that he's exercising in relation to at least grief.
Okay.
Because and how that relates to the human psyche. And also is it sort of a snake eating its tail, like this sort of circle of tragedy and mental illness and how that can infect the family dynamic. I mean, I see it in, I don't want to get too into that, but I've seen firsthand how the mental illness of a family member can cause in some ways an enhancement or a regression of a healthy state of living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And there's certainly I think I can echo that. I've seen what bipolar disorder or PTSD can do to somebody in a couple of instances firsthand, and just it's self-destructive.
Yeah.
And until you finally feel like you want to fix that,
or find
it
a
ain't gonna
means,
happen.
or find a means to.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's this, you don't even understand it yourself.
Right.
And you don't even know how even to start going about fixing it.
Right. And some people are just embarrassed to even say something to a doctor that can do something.
Right.
Yeah.
So with Midsommar, take a lot of that dread, and that our friend Chuck, he said when he watched Hereditary, the whole time he had a stomach ache. And I totally understand where he's coming from. It's like this physiological response to this overwhelming dread and just sadness, right, in that movie. And he's like, I just had a stomach ache the whole movie. And it's like, Ari Aster does that again in Midsommar, but he does it all in the cold open. Okay. So he takes everything you feel in Hereditary and he packs that into the catapult for the rest of the movie.
And this has to do with the lead actress, her family. Yes. So this is not necessarily a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
Her family basically is involved in a murder-suicide.
Yes.
Which it does then affect choices made by her. I think,
absolutely.
Down the line.
What it exposes is the idea of my sister's not right, am I right? And do I have some of what she has? But it also it explores this idea of codependency.
Yeah.
So my relationship with my sister, who I love, is based on the highs and lows of her state of being. And now I kind of realize that I fed on that as well. And that now that is not in my life, I don't know who I have who can support me emotionally.
Right.
Right. And she puts all that on her boyfriend.
Which at the time that all of this happens, he was planning on breaking up with her.
He was planning on breaking up with her.
And it's like, yeah, that's tough too. Because it's like, well, I guess I can't do that now.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what kind of launches you then into the story proper of them going to Sweden and visiting this festival for Midsommar.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of it's a religious group or something, kind of, right?
Yeah, so what's interesting about this is this is a very deliberate choice on Aster's part, but he takes these college friends who one is two are in anthropology.
Okay.
Our female lead is a psychology major.
Okay.
The other two are writing their anthropology theses. I don't remember what the fool, and I won't go too much into that, but his character, I don't remember what his area of study is, but then you have their Swedish friend who is studying abroad at the college that they're at, and they're going back to his community for Midsommar.
Okay.
And he's kind of hooked these two guys into the story of, we're probably a fascinating anthropological study. You might want to see what our community is about. It's really beautiful, and we have all these amazing traditions. You should come on spring break or summer break, whatever, and visit my community.
And it's also happening at a time like they must be in northern Sweden where like there's a perpetual daylight.
Yeah, there's a midnight sun.
This is a daylight horror movie.
Yes, there's a midnight sun, so there is a small amount of dusk and dawn. But yeah, most of this movie takes place under a very bright sun, which is like super unsettling as this movie unravels. Yeah.
Okay, so what can you tell about the unraveling without giving away any of the big? Because I know, again, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I have seen reviews for this. They have not given away what the twist is that happens that basically sends this down a whole nother path.
Yeah.
But I know that something happens, and then of course there's the aftermath of that, which is basically the second half of the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it becomes a little bit conventional in how things unfold. I don't believe that most people watching this movie will be surprised by anything that eventually happens.
I know that there are visual cues where it's like, come on, dude. It's like you want to tell the characters, like, dude.
Yeah.
You see art like that, you don't think something's wrong here?
Right.
Yeah.
And what makes that interesting is there are characters that aren't in our group who are outsiders as well, who react appropriately to things.
Okay.
But you also have our group who is made up of anthropologists,
right? And
who are trying to be objective.
But they're also going there like, let's just go there and do a bunch of shrooms and stuff.
That
too,
as
right?
well,
yeah.
right? It's like half thesis study, half spring break. Right. Yeah, but I think it also introduces some interesting ideas of if we're studying this, how much of this do we just wash our hands of? Like this is just their kooky behavior, right?
Yeah.
And how dangerous can that be? Because that's how cults are formed. Is people just saying, "Oh, it's freedom of religion, man," right?
Well, yeah, and I can see that.
And how many cults are the result of just an instability of mental health that have devolved and organized?
Yeah.
It's insidious. It's like a virus.
Right.
And this should not exist. And just because you think it's fascinating and it's going to be an anthropological study does not mean you should be objective about this.
Exactly. I am, and to kind of tie into that, I was just thinking about this morning, like from an anthropological standpoint. I'm fascinated with the idea that there may still be Nazis in the world.
Right.
Fascinated by it. It's like, what do you think the history books are telling people? Untruth? Or do you just say that was them and this is something different? But I still think it's probably a good idea to get rid of them.
Right.
It's fascinating that people are still being led down that path, right? And some of the ways that they're being led down that path, fascinating, because it's such a weird, different life from what we're used to. But yeah, it's like, at what point do you say, okay, but still, no, this is weird. You're weird. These people are weird. Stop it. Yeah.
Yes. So what you end up with is these different people with these different motivations for being there, and them being, I guess, confronted with some things in their own ways. But with our female lead, you find maybe that she gets it. Maybe their way of life is what she needs, or what she perceives that she needs, because they have this way of practicing perfect empathy at this place where they mimic each other's emotions.
I think that's in the trailer where it looks like everybody's like in a big cry circle or something. Yeah,
and she really responds well to that.
That's when you know how somebody wants to feel, you can manipulate them. Yeah.
Right. So that's to me what makes this movie really scary is the way that their hive mind is able to give a certain type of person exactly what they need, and they know how to tap into that. Right. It's creepy. I said, and I stand by this. It's the best representation of the remote pagan cult horror film.
Yeah.
And that to this point, the standard bearer for that has been The Wicker Man for me.
Oh boy, yeah. But even the remake, as goofy as that is, knows what it's trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, the original Wicker Man has been truly the torchbearer, standard bearer for this subgenre of horror.
There have been a couple of other Hammer movies around that time too that does it.
There's been a lot of movies like this made recently, which is interesting. Like,
I think we're living in a time culturally where we are concerned about groupthink.
Yeah,
because it's gotten people shunned. It's gotten people, people can pile onto each other very quickly now. And on the other side of that, there's always going to be somebody who's willing to grow their numbers.
Yeah.
And
it's becoming, it's sort of like the body snatcher idea of horror is always kind of circles back around. Hell, the new season of Stranger Things is basically a body snatcher story, right? And this is another one where recently you've had The Apostle, Gareth Evans, the guy who did the Raid movies, made The Apostle with Dan Stevens on Netflix, and it's fucking Wicker Man. You had The Ritual, which was also just recently made, and it's kind of like a Norway Scandinavian, but in darkness almost. Kind of pagan, ritualistic, sacrificial sort of type of movie, where both of those take more of a supernatural turn than Midsommar. Whereas Midsommar is like, you could see this shit fucking happening in the backwoods of the Ozarks or some shit, right? I mean, this could be in southern Indiana or somewhere.
Be in Montana.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So it's I there was a moment where you see the maypole for the first time. It's like, well, fuck. You should just turn around. Yeah. Nothing good ever happens when there's a maypole involved. I swear to God. Movies have taught me that.
There's a poster. The international poster is, I think, of the guy and the girl, like, basically looking at the fucking maple. Yeah. And it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Just go.
Yeah. It's like, barring this actually being a Wicker Man to be set on fire or whatever, I still don't like this.
Nope. Yeah. Nope. I know where this leads.
Yeah.
So I say that it's kind of the best of its kind because it takes what Wicker Man does that makes Wicker Man so effective and really ups the ante with the subtext. It really creates across multiple characters, an emotional connection and an understanding and an exploration, I think, of the human psyche. Whereas Wicker Man, you have the virgin Christian, right?
Yes.
Which is all it's really explored. Whereas this movie is, God, the depth of this movie is just ripe for interpretation. Right down to the last shot. And I won't spoil that, but you could. I had a conversation with the people I saw it with after, and that was the thing we tried to figure out the most. It's like, what did that mean? And I think I understand it, but people will be talking about it for as long as this movie people want to talk about it.
Right.
I think it's fascinating. So, yeah, I mean, I really like this movie. Spoiler, I fucking loved it.
Well,
the music, oh my God.
Yeah, there's a couple of technical things I wanted to ask you about. First of all, the music.
Yeah.
What would you say the styling of it
So the music is by an artist. He goes by the moniker the Haxon Cloak, and he does kind of doomy ambient electronic music.
Okay.
And Ari Aster, when he was writing this movie, he was listening to a lot of the Haxon Cloak, and so much to the point where he's like, I can't make this movie without it being the score. So he asked this guy to do the score, and it's very just sort of like drone in some places, ambience, just kind of a lot of really stringy Bernard Herrmann-esque at points.
Okay.
It's always there, but never overbearing.
Okay.
Right. But plus there's a lot of just this, I think all of the Scandinavian type folk songs and things, I think they wrote originally as well. So there's a lot of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of this music that feels traditional in some way to this fake Scandinavian cult, right?
Okay.
Like that could be centuries old. So that in that way, it really reminded me a lot of The Wicker Man, because there was so much traditional sort of folk songs and things in The Wicker Man. Wicker Man is basically musical. And if you watch that, it's half music. There's almost always, it's musical number to musical number in a lot of ways, that movie is, which is as unsettling again, because it's this sort of, these people seem so happy and cheery, and they're dancing around maypoles and they're swinging their arms, right? And their whole way of life is just completely fucked.
Yeah.
And you don't understand why. It all kind of has to unravel slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the look of the movie. We talked about it being a daylight horror, and there's a reason why that comes up a lot lately.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, you think about horror, it's nighttime. I mean, hell, it's hard to think of a Godzilla movie that takes place in fucking daytime anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's daytime horror is a very specific thing that doesn't really happen too often. And when they sometimes do it, it's not so great.
Right.
But this movie has helped kind of bring back that idea of what can you do with the daylight.
Well, it's interesting because really you just have to tell a good story first, right?
Sure.
To me, the daylight is effective, but I didn't even really find myself thinking about it watching the movie. I was just watching a movie that was completely engrossing, that was ramping itself up moment by moment to what I knew was going to be inevitable, but yet still terrifying. But they do kind of play with time a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask about.
Yeah.
Because the time element, because it's always daylight.
Right.
That's jarring to a person.
Yeah, there are little things that help the audience. There are these ideas of the losing time, or I forgot it was your birthday because the daylight's got me all messed up, right? Or when it does get dusky, they sleep in basically a common room, boarding room or whatever, where they draw the shades and everything, right? Like there's always sort of like you're escaping the sunlight.
Yeah.
You do feel that. And because of all of that, it has a more of a disorienting effect than anything else,
Okay.
right? So it's there and it's present, but again, almost like the music, it's sort of subtly unsettling.
Okay.
And then everything that does take place in the daylight that's really horrific almost feels like overexposed, right? Like it's just too much. It's so bright, right? So you still feel like it's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the cinematography is
beautiful.
Yeah. And that's seemingly what Ari Aster has been. Even his shorts, from what I understand, have been very, very well shot.
Yeah.
That he's got a really good eye for.
Yeah.
Well, what other thoughts do you have?
I think that's about it. I don't want to go too much into anything else. I do want to just caution people against thinking that oh, if it's like The Wicker Man, then I already seen the story. I don't need to see it. There's so much more there that is to be unlocked, and it's a really, really sort of subtly scary ride. But I don't also think that you should expect to come out of it terrified or psychologically like affected in some, like a lot of the headlines around this movie have been like, oh, the scariest fucking movie you've ever fucking seen. It's not really.
This is almost an existential existential terror.
Yeah.
This is okay. I can tell you by not seeing it, by just watching the trailer, this is not a jump scare movie.
Right.
This isn't a slasher waiting behind or a monster waiting to come out to get you.
And I mean, there are elements of that, but it's this movie's goal.
No, this is we want you to really think and to be shaken by what you think about. Yeah, it is. It's existential is absolutely right. It's philosophical, and I know that those words maybe would turn off some viewers, but I think what's great about it is your average horror movie viewer is going to be, I think, scared by this movie, and they're going to get something on the surface that is sort of exhilarating. And then if anybody cares to dig deeper, it's there in spades. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I mean, you watch a World War II movie and say, you know what? I want to dig a little deeper. There's something there. You know, there's more that you can look at if you really wanted to explore more about themes or ideas or, you know, whatever. Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly recommend this movie to most people. I would say I think there's probably something for everyone. Not everyone's going to like it, but I think everyone's going to maybe get something out of it, I would hope. And if you are like me and are just obsessed with like pagan cult horror movies, then you're really going to like it. Yeah. And don't be afraid to compare it to Wicker Man, because I think
it's almost impossible when you see a fucking maypole.
It's fucking obvious that Ari Aster likes the movie Wicker Man.
Right.
I mean, And this is another thing I said. I said after I saw the movie, you know, people are going to call this movie derivative, because people who don't know how to criticize movies fall on that word to explain why they don't like something.
They use that word to sound smart.
Right. This movie is not derivative. This movie is, yes, it has an element of homage and pastiche. It is certainly influenced by The Wicker Man. But this is Ari Aster taking a movie like Wicker Man and applying a shit ton of emotional baggage into it, right? It's like, that movie affects me, and this shit happened in my life, and this is the way I would make The Wicker Man. It's the best kind of remake.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, exactly. I mean, Child's Play is out there too.
Okay.
A lot of people are just going to remake.
Right.
But no, that's the best kind of remake too for that type of movie, because it's got Child's Play as the foundation, and then it overlays a bunch of different stuff on it.
Yep.
And it takes it into a different direction.
Exactly right.
So
exactly what Ari Aster did with this.
Yeah.
With this concept, for sure. It also felt like the movie that Gareth Evans with Apostle was trying to make, but Ari Aster just tapped into it. I mean, he cracked the code of this movie, of The Wicker Man, really.
Yeah.
And made it for modern audiences. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you see this sticking around on a best of list?
Oh yeah, most definitely. At this point, so far, it's my favorite movie of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether that holds up or not,
because you said compared to Hereditary,
I like this better than Hereditary.
Okay.
I like this better than Hereditary.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Hereditary I liked a lot. I like this better.
Is this a movie that you could watch again?
Yes. But who knows? I thought that about Hereditary. Hereditary sort of had this weird kind of like, I like it more and less because I can't watch it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because I think that it's absolutely fucking effective. It served its purpose. It did what Ari Aster wanted it to do, but it's just too much for me to watch again. But with this, I think that with Hereditary, it's just like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're trying to say, and the performances are so effective for me, and it taps into something that's too primal that I can't really watch leisurely.
Gotcha.
I'm going to set that aside.
Okay.
But with Midsommar, I don't have necessarily that same connection, but I have a fascination with what it's trying to say,
Right.
and I will go back to that well again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you liked it.
Yep.
So 30 minutes later.
30 minutes later.
I liked it. No, I don't know. This is probably one that I will not see in the theater. I'll probably wait like I did with Hereditary, but I'll probably know what the reveals are before I see it. But that didn't change my take on Hereditary. I liked the movie a lot too.
Yeah.
But anyway. So, thank you for putting your thoughts down. We will probably be doing this again in a few weeks, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is coming.
Oh, yeah.
And then a week after that, we've got Hobbs and Shaw.
So we've got 2 specials coming up.
Well, not special. These are just Film Seizure at the movie.
Oh, we're going to... Oh, yeah,
just reviews.
Yes, not special. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man, those are both going to be super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Two totally different experiences, I think, but
probably.
But man, both like insanely fun.
Anyway, thanks for putting your thoughts in on that, because it's a movie that's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is something that, if Hereditary wasn't going to crack the Oscar nominations, if maybe this one will.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know that it will get nominated for any performances, because I truly feel Toni Collette was robbed last year. She should have been nominated at the very least. I don't know where the performances will come from, although the female lead is very good. I think this will probably see a lot of technical awards and maybe, possibly, a Best Picture nod. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, check back in. You've got the regular episodes of Film Seizure. When are those?
Wednesdays.
Yes. We got Monster Mondays. When are those?
Mondays?
I was leaning towards Saturdays, but I think you're right. I think it's Mondays on those. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Film Seizure. You can hear our episodes at filmseizure.com. iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, and we upload stuff to YouTube. But until the next regular episode of Film Seizure, we'll talk to you later. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure at the Movies.
And don't forget to save me the aisle seat.
We only do this every 90 years. I was most excited for you to come.